Okay, so this video is for you if you've ever become frustrated with weight loss, okay? And specifically, you know, standing on a scale and you see a number and you're not happy with what you see, all right? And that happens a lot. So I want to ask the question, what does the scale measure, okay? Because maybe your understanding of that isn't quite accurate, all right? And if I explain it in more detail, then you hopefully become less frustrated with your progress or lack of progress. In both cases, you'll at least be armed with more information so you can make better choices. So what does the scale measure? Okay, so there's three main areas. You've got your water weight, you've got your lean tissue such as muscle and cartilage and connective tissue, and you have body fat, all right? And it is possible to manipulate these three areas depending on how you train and how you eat, okay? Then there's a couple of other things to point out. You will also measure things like the food that you consume and glycogen within your muscles. So that's your energy source. And that's what, you know, carbohydrates that you consume are broken down into if you consume water and train, all this kind of stuff. So there's lots of different things being measured here when you step on the scales. All right, and so when you step on the scales, if you start a weight loss journey, if you want, you might start here, okay, high up, maybe 120 kilos or something like that. And over time, what you want to see is a drop in weight if you have weight to lose. But what can happen is, very early on, you know, you might find that your weight goes up slightly, even though you're training and you're eating well, and that's where you can become a little bit pissed off and go and eat all the cake. So this is something I don't want you to do. I want you to be patient, and I want you to recognise that it takes time, and so that you start to see progress and your weight will come down. And yes, we still might have these kind of peaks, but we will have these troughs. And over time, if you follow a good training program, if you're consistent with training and nutrition, you should see a drop in your weight, okay? So how do you become less frustrated when you hit these different points here, okay? There's a few things you can do. Number one, obviously, keep stepping on the scales, you know, but don't use that as your only measurement. If you do, you're going to become pissed off, and you're not being fair to yourself because you're not really factoring in all the information. So step on the scales, but maybe if you want to arm yourself with better information, what you would do is you'd measure your weight every day at the same time, typically early morning before you've eaten anything, for 7 days, okay? Then you do an average of your weight at the end of the week, and then you do it again for another week, so 2 weeks, and you compare the two averages. If your weight is coming down, if the average weight is coming down, then what you're doing is working, and you should keep doing what you're doing. The other thing that you can and should do is check your measurements. So check your stomach measurement, leg measurement, chest measurement, whatever the case may be, and track this over a period of time. And again, if this comes down, then what you're doing is working, even if the weight on the scales doesn't come down. And this is the thing that a lot of people struggle with. They see measurements coming down, but the weight isn't coming down, and they get pissed off. And I try to explain it that, look, that weight is a measurement of lots of different things. You might have built or created more muscle, so therefore that can actually cause your weight to go up, the number on the scales to go up, and because you have more muscle, you might be carrying more glycogen, so again, that might be causing your weight to go up. But if your measurements are going down, if you've dropped centimetres off your stomach, you should be really happy with that, you know. Another thing to point out is that pictures are a great way to see what's happening. You can't measure what's on your head. Well, you can, but you know, if you take a picture of your progress over time, you might see that your face starts to become or to carry less fat, basically, and will look, you know, more trim. And that's a lot of the time, that's where people see it first. And then obviously clothes. A lot of people, even though, you know, we don't necessarily sort of check measurements for a few weeks, they'll come in and say my clothes feel looser, and that's a brilliant sign that what you're doing is working. So again, what does the scale measure? It measures all of these things, okay? That can be manipulated through your training and how you eat and how you take care of yourself. That do fluctuate from time to time, depending on if you're a man or a woman, different times of the month and different times of the week. So how do you avoid getting pissed off? Check your weight, do an average over a week, then do it again and compare the two numbers to, if you really want to be certain. Check your measurements on a regular basis, take pictures, and then have a look at how your clothes fit. There is one kind of exception to this, and I'll just kind of call it out here. If you're in sport, okay, it's very important for some people to see the number on the scales coming down. And if you've got a lot of weight to lose, then in general we would want the weight and the number on the scales to come down. But those are kind of at the extreme ends of the scale. In general, everybody inside that can follow this process and should follow this process, and over time will hopefully see progress in terms of weight loss. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, you'd like me to clarify anything here, let me know. If you think someone else would benefit from it, then please share the information. Okay, thank you.